I'll never forget the silence in that room, the kind of silence that burns through your skin and leaves a scar on your pride. Everyone had been laughing, glasses clinking, polite conversations humming around the table, until my daughter-in-law leaned back in her chair, smirked, and said, "Oh, don't mind him. He's just a security guard." She was pointing at me. I sat there, wine glass frozen in my hand, my face warming as a dozen curious eyes shifted toward me. It wasn't the words alone, it was the tone. Dismissive, belittling, as though I was beneath the company of these so-called respectable guests she'd invited to my own son's housewarming party. Now, don't get me wrong. I've never been ashamed of honest work. I grew up the son of a factory worker and a mother who stitched clothes at night to put food on the table. Security work is noble, protecting lives, guarding property. But my daughter-in-law didn't say it to honor me. She said it to humiliate me, to reduce me to a caricature in front of her wealthy friends. I saw my son's jaw tighten, but he said nothing. He always struggled to stand up to his wife, and in that moment, I felt a loneliness creep in that no one in the room could see. I set my glass down quietly. "Yes," I said, steadying my voice, "I did work as a security guard. Among other things." They chuckled politely, moved on with their conversations, and I sat there, shrinking into the background. My daughter-in-law had gotten what she wanted. I was invisible, unimportant, just an old man living in their shadow. But what they didn't know, what she never bothered to ask, was that my security job wasn't in a shopping mall or a gated community. I had spent decades working in the shadows, sworn to protect people most Americans only ever saw on television. I had been part of the United States Secret Service, guarding presidents, foreign leaders, and dignitaries. I had risked my life countless times, but I'd signed up for silence. My work wasn't meant for applause. That night, though, something unexpected happened. Just as dinner was wrapping up, a sleek black SUV pulled into the driveway. The hum of its engine silenced the laughter inside. Two men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the area with the unmistakable precision of professionals trained to see everything. The doorbell rang, and before my son could answer, they walked in, calm, assertive, and deliberate. "Agent Miller," one of them asked, eyes locking on me immediately. The room froze. I rose slowly from my chair, and a wave of recognition washed over me. I hadn't heard that name in years, but in their world, I was still Agent Miller. "Yes," I replied, "we'll escort you now. Your presence is required." They flanked me, one on each side, their movements crisp and respectful. Guests at the table leaned back, wide-eyed, trying to make sense of the scene. My daughter-in-law's smirk evaporated, replaced by confusion, then embarrassment. "Escort him. Wait, what? He's just," she stammered. "Ma'am," one of the agents interrupted, firm but polite, "he's not just anything. He's one of the most respected former members of our service. His record is impeccable." The air was thick with stunned silence. My son's face softened with a pride I hadn't seen in years. The agents nodded to him before guiding me toward the door. Outside, under the cool night air, one of them explained. "Sir, we apologize for the sudden arrival. The director heard you were in town. There's an event tomorrow, a gathering of former agents with clearance. Your presence is considered an honor. We wanted to ensure you arrived safely." I nodded, a familiar sense of duty stirring in my chest. It had been years since I'd been called upon, but in that moment, I felt something I hadn't in a long time seen. When I returned later that night, the house was quieter. My daughter-in-law avoided my gaze, but my son came to me privately. "Dad," he said softly, "I'm sorry. I should have spoken up. I've let her make you feel small in your own family, and you don't deserve that. You've sacrificed so much, for this country, for us." His voice cracked. "I want my kids to know who their grandfather really is. Not what anyone else says about him." Tears welled in my eyes. For years, I had chosen silence, protecting my family from the weight of my past, never seeking recognition. But maybe, just maybe, it was time to let them know the truth. The following weekend, I sat my grandchildren down. I didn't tell them about missions or near-death moments. I told them about integrity, about standing tall even when no one is watching, about the pride in protecting others without needing thanks. I told them the real measure of a person isn't the title they hold but the values they live by. My daughter-in-law sat in the corner, quiet, her face unreadable. But I noticed her listening. For the first time, she wasn't dismissing me. Weeks later, she came to me in the kitchen. I didn't know," she admitted, her voice lower than I'd ever heard it. "I judged you. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. I didn't need her apology, but I accepted it, for my son Sake, for my grandchildren's sake. Respect is something you teach by example, not demand with pride. Life went on. I wasn't suddenly paraded as a hero, and I didn't want to be. But things changed subtly. My daughter-in-law introduced me differently after that. This is my father-in-law. He worked in the Secret Service. And my son, he made sure I was never invisible again in my own family. And that's the lesson I carry. No matter what people call you, just a guard, just a janitor, just a worker, those words don't define you. Your choices, your sacrifices, your integrity, those are what endure. So when I look back on that night, I don't remember the sting of humiliation. I remember standing tall, flanked by men who respected me, walking past the silence of a room full of people who finally saw me. Not just anything, but a man who served. A man who mattered.